You want to just see that six pack. You want to be chiseled, defined, like the superheroes, like the actors that you look up to, and you're just struggling to get there despite doing everything that you've been told online. You've been doing the calorie deficit, your cardio, whatever it may be, and you're still struggling to see that last bit of fat get off. Today, I'm going to be covering the 7 things stopping you from losing fat. And as I progress through the levels, they're going to get more and more nuanced. So stay till the end, because that's probably the biggest mistake you're probably making. Number 1, you don't know your calories. And I've seen this a million times. People in my DMs on Instagram asking me, hey Jad, how do I lose fat? Oh, I'm trying to lose fat, but nothing's coming off. And I ask them, how many calories are you eating? Oh, calories? I don't know. I just heard that, you just got to cut carbs, cut sugar, go on this diet, and I'm good. It's not how it works. In fact, it doesn't matter how clean you think you're eating. If you are not in a calorie deficit, you are not losing body fat. So the easiest way to guarantee that is to track and understand how many calories you're actually eating in the day. Simple as that. And I'm not saying you have to track your calories your entire life. In fact, I don't even track calories. But it's a great awareness tool to get started, to bring your attention to what's actually going in your mouth day after day. I actually conducted a study and realized that most people underestimate how much calories they eat by 100%. So if you think you're eating 1,500 calories, you're probably eating closer to 3,000. How crazy is that? The first mistake I see people make. And the best way to do that is either track or to follow a meal plan, aka eat the same thing consistently, leave no room for error. Now, if you're looking at how much of a calorie deficit I should be in, start with eating 500 calories below your maintenance. If you're not losing enough weight, maybe you have to decrease it by 100 or 200 and see how you go. Number 2, you prioritize cardio over the gym. Now, you might think cardio will burn a lot of calories, but it's only going to burn calories in that 30 minutes to an hour that you're actually doing it for. The gym burns calories 24/7 while you shit, while you sleep, every waking minute of the day. Why? Because the gym builds one of your most metabolically active organ in your entire body, muscle mass. It increases your muscle mass. And what does more muscle do? It ramps up your BMR, your basal metabolic rate. Your metabolism is faster when you have more muscle. So prioritize building muscle over endless cardio that's just gonna leave you burnt out, high cortisol, high stress, and leave you hungrier, causing you to overeat later on. This is the big mistake that I see, guys. You spamming cardio and overeating later, becoming overstressed, overburnt out, and then finishing the cut. Yeah, you've lost weight, but you've lost a shit ton of muscle and you don't look any better. You look like a shriveled kid from Africa. So build muscle, train with a progressive program 3 to 5 times per week. You don't need to live in the gym, but you need to be training hard and training consistently. Number 3, you do not set yourself a movement goal. If you look at the total amount of calories that you burn in a day, 50 to 60% we established comes from your basal metabolic rate, which is primarily determined by muscle. Now, do you want to guess how much cardio burns in the day? 5 to 10%, depending on how much you do. 5 to 10%. Tell you what burns more than double the calories that cardio will burn? Movement that is not exercise related. Blinking, fidgeting, walking to the fridge to grab your muffins because you're a fat fuck. All these daily movements burn calories, and they burn twice as many calories as the hour of cardio that you're slaving away doing. So the easiest way to actually ramp up the calories out of the equation is to set a movement goal. Now, steps here are the golden standard. Start with aiming for 10,000 steps per day. Some of my clients even are getting 12,000, 15,000. The more steps you do, the more calories you burn, the more fat you lose. It's as simple as that. And the great thing about steps and a movement goal is it's almost interest-free in terms of the stress that you place on your system. It is one of the best ways to increase the calories out without putting extra fatigue on the system. Get your steps in. So, so important. Number 4, this is getting more nuanced now, and it's not getting enough sleep, especially if you're trying to lose fat. Sleep is the number 1 tool you must be optimizing, and is so underlooked now. But guess what? As much as an hour or 2 of sleep deprivation can have significant impacts on the rate that you lose fat. And here's why. So much of your body functions are performed in your sleep. Hormones you produce, the workouts you recover from, the fat you lose, right? What does poor sleep do to you? It increases your appetite. You wake up and you're ravenous. You are much more hungry. So imagine how difficult it's going to be for you to stick to that calorie deficit when your appetite is higher and you already are calorie restricted. It's very difficult. Not to mention that your body will lose fat less efficiently if you are on poor sleep. So I cannot emphasize this enough. Get at least 8 hours of sleep per night. This is so important during the cut. And also it will reduce your performance in the gym. You'll be able to lift less, hence you'll build less muscle. Number 5, you're not paying attention to your food quality. Now, calories are what matters the most, and technically you can eat all Twinkies and eat in a calorie deficit and you will be losing that weight. They've already done a study to prove that's true. But here's what people aren't telling you, and that's the quality of the foods that you eat matter tremendously to you being able to stick to that calorie deficit without feeling hungry, and while also performing at the standard that you want to in your workouts and also just in life in general. The best types of foods to eat during the cut are high satiety foods, which means foods that fill you up more for less calories. And those are foods that typically contain higher proportions of fiber, higher protein, because protein keeps you fuller, and are rich in nutrients. Vegetables, for example, eat as many as you want. Eat as many vegetables as you want. No one ever got fat from eating too much vegetables. They basically contain next to no calories, as long as you don't deep fry them in a shit ton of oil. And they are so filling. So eat vegetables with every meal. Protein, animal-based sources like beef, turkey, chicken, fish. Carbs, fruit, also low calorie, loaded with micronutrients. I spam fruit, kiwis especially. S-tier fruit. Also, another source of carbs. Potatoes. The number 1 on the satiety index is potatoes. Potatoes will keep you full forever. In terms of fats, this is a slippery slope, right? You don't want to have too much fats because fats are quite calorie dense, but you want to get your good quality fats in. So focus on avocado, olive oil, eggs, and yogurt. Now, point number 6, poor stress management throughout the week. Highly underrated, but significantly going to impact your fat loss progress. Now, stress can be categorized into 3 things. It's a concept known as allostatic load. There is social, there is psychological, and there is physiological stress. Physiological stress being the amount of calories you're eating and the amount of cardio you're doing, and everything else physically. During a calorie deficit, during a cut, is going to be extremely high, the amount of physiological stress you're exposing yourself to. You're eating less calories, you're training hard. Physiological stress is high. So by proxy, we need to minimize the other 2, the social stress and the psychological stress. How do we do that? We have stress management techniques in place so that your stress from your work, studies, whatever you are doing is under control. Things like meditation can help, making the process as enjoyable as possible. Right? It's going to be difficult. You might as well enjoy that ride, right? And another downstream consequence of not managing your stress properly is binging, right? So if you have poor stress management techniques, you might fall to food, right? You might binge, right? And that spirals into a guilt cycle, causing you to binge, repeat, and always come back to those old habits. Another example, ordering takeout, right? Because you're so stressed, right? Whenever it gets convenient, you just order food out, right? That's obviously going to impact your fat loss progress as well. So very important. Manage your stress throughout the week accordingly so you can keep following plan consistently. The final, most nuanced, but also most critical aspect that I see everyone fuck up on when they're trying to lose fat, and that is having no routine, no system in play. Your meal timing is random, whatever you feel like, whenever. Your cardio relies on your motivation, and the fact that you have to use your willpower to force yourself to do the things that you don't want to do each day is going to cause so much decision fatigue, which will drain your energy and make it very hard for you to be consistent with the calorie deficit. And as a result, your plan's on and off. You might have been dieting for 2 weeks and then you pause for a week and then you get back on and then you pause and then you give up for a month and then you get back into it. This is not the way to cut, guys. You are going to be in a permanent cut for the rest of your life, gaining and losing the same 5 kilos over and over again. Okay? If you want to actually see that weight drop and drop for good, you need to establish a routine that allows the inputs that you do every single day to compound over time. And instead of relying on your mood, you're relying on the plan. And that plan is bulletproof. That's the most important part, guys. So if you want to see what that plan actually looks like for you, tailored to your lifestyle, then follow me on Instagram, shoot me a DM, maybe I can help. Or if you're interested to work with me one-to-one, I'll leave a link in the description to book a call. And I have no doubt if you stop making these 7 top mistakes, you're gonna find yourself looking like a Greek god in a time frame that will absolutely shock you. I'm talking 3-4 months max. Get to work.